stick around because I'm going to show you how to make placemats out of a gorgeous fabric panel and some other fabrics. Hi everybody, it's Claudia from Create with Claudia. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm doing something fun and exciting. It is my third quarter Benartex Social Star project. So this fabric was all given to me by Benartex to use. They give you a choice of fabrics for your projects, and as soon as I saw this Illuminations line, I knew it was what I wanted to work with. It had a panel, and I do not work with panels, so I wanted to challenge myself a little bit. And that's one of the reasons I chose it, but the main reason was the fabric. So I'm going to put it up on the screen for a second. Just look at this gorgeous fabric. The panel, there were 6 different images. They're all 10.5 inches square, which worked out perfectly for my placemat. Just look, each tree is different. And then the coordinating fabrics are just as gorgeous, very groovy, great patterns, lots and lots of movement. Now the purple, the dark purple that I'm going to show you is not from the Illuminations line. That is actually from one of Benartex's basics lines, called Echo in dark purple. And it is gorgeous too. Like with all of my tutorials, I do have an accompanying blog post, that shows you all of the cuts you need and the fabric that you need, that kind of thing. I have a chart on there that's going to show you to make 1 or to make 6 of them. I made 6 because the panel has 6. If you don't have a panel, you can also use other fabrics. I show you some examples at the end of the video that I used, or that I mocked up on my Electric Quilt 8 software, because you can do this with any fabric, but it's a great way to highlight, a center fabric and really show it off. All right, here's everything you're going to need for this placemat, and this again is just one of them. In my website, I'll have all the directions if you want to make more than one. I made a set of 6 because the panel has 6 of them on there. I'm going to show you the other ones I made because I just can't get over how beautiful that panel is and how these turned out. And then I'll tell you what you need. So first off, look, they're just the highlight. Look how they glow. There's one. Here's another one. Each one is different. Each of the 6 trees is different. Look at this one. Another one. This one has bigger leaves. I love that with the colored leaves. And then this one has a lot of red in it, so that's why I chose the red fabric on this one. All right, and now we're ready to show you the fabrics that you're going to need. First off is the purple fabric. I'm going to use this one sort of as a guide. You're going to need 2 strips that go here, and they are 1.5 inches by 10.5 inches long. Okay. The next thing, and I make a lot of half square triangles in this, so I'm going to show you how to make them 2 at a time. You're going to need this inner half square triangle, and that's this purple, and you're going to need 6 squares that are cut 3 1/4 inches. So 6 of those that'll make this part here. Then for the center where you have more half square triangles, like these reds here, there's 6 of them all together. You're going to need 12 squares that are 3 1/4 inches, just like that, and they're going to form those centers. And then for the outer half square triangles, these little ones here, you're going to need 6 6 squares that are 3 1/4 inches. That's to make the half square triangles. And I'll show you in an example a little bit later why I made these half square triangles and not a square in a square. I wanted to do something a little different. Now you're going to need your panel. This is ideal. You need a 10.5 inch square for that panel, and look at that tree. Oh, so pretty. I will say, working with panels, I am not really familiar with it. I have rarely done it, but so they are a little tricky to cut. There are lots of videos. There are blog posts to tell you how to work with them. I took a lot of time cutting this out because you want to get that nice 10.5 inch square. I find that panels can sometimes, the image can be a little wonky sometimes, but I managed to get all 6 of them out. And yeah, take your time when cutting the panel. You do not have to use a panel. If you just have some really pretty fabric, like maybe you just want to use this and highlight this in the center, you could easily do that. But this is what I did with these panels. So you need one of those that's 10.5 inches square. And then you're going to need some batting, of course. Now I cut my batting, I cut it about 20 inches by about 15, so I have some nice overhang. This is fusible batting, Hobbs fusible batting, which is really my favorite batting for smaller projects. I just love it. So that's that. And then you need a back piece, and look at this fabric. Is that not beautiful? And again, it's about 20 inches by about 15. The placemat itself measures, when finished, about 12 by 18 inches. So it's a nice size, a nice big placemat. And then you need binding. I don't know how you do your binding. I use 2.5 inch strips. I use 2.5 inch strips that I will fold over and press in half. And then I will attach them to the back. For a placemat, I always do machine binding. I find it lasts longer, especially when you're washing it, because placemats tend to get dirty sometimes. So I will do that by machine. And what I do is I attach it to the back, and then I'll flip it over, and I'll show you that later at the end of the video. But I used about like 2 strips with the fabric by 2.5 inches, and that's more than enough. And I mean plenty more than enough for one placemat. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this center part. Very simple. These are really simple to make, and that's what I love about it. I like simple projects. And you're just going to put one of the purple strips on the top, or well, whatever color you choose, and one on the bottom, and you're just going to add that on. You're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this whole project. All right, here it is, sewn on, nicely pressed. And I'm just going to set this aside for right now. And now we get to make the fun part. At least for me, I love half square triangles, and I really love making them this way. So I suggest you put on your favorite playlist or podcast, because we're going to make a lot of half square triangles. And I'm going to show you how to do them the 2 at a time method. All right, I'm going to set these aside. These are the 12 of the center, that form the square. You're going to draw a diagonal line on the back of all of these 12 squares. My pencil, I need to sharpen it. So basically that's what you're going to do. You can hopefully see that. Let me hold it up a little bit. I don't want it too dark, but anyway, you're going to do that on all of these on all of these 12 squares. And so to make your half square triangle, you're going to take that drawn line, the square with the drawn line on, and you're going to pair it up with one of these other squares. And because you did it on the back of the 12 center squares, you're just going to pair one up with each of these squares, and you're going to put them right sides together, line them up nice and even, and then you are going to sew a 1/4 inch along each side of that drawn line. You do not want to sew on the line. You just want to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this side and on this side, and you're going to repeat that with all 12 of those pairs. Okay, and once that is done, you're going to split this in half. Just use your rotary cutter and your ruler. Split that in half, and then you're going to press it. And I press them to the darker side. In this case, it's kind of hard to pick which one, but I'll probably press it to the blue side on this one. And you're going to repeat that with all of those. All right, so I pressed this pair, and now I'm going to show you how to trim it down. This is perfect for your square quilter's ruler. I highly recommend, if you don't have one, you should get one. They're great because they have that diagonal line, and they have 1/8 inch marks, which I love too. That helps with real precise piecing. So to cut this down, you have your square here with untrimmed corners. Line up close to this edge over here, and lay that diagonal line that's on the ruler on that seam. Okay, you're going to line that up nicely. And you're going to just trim, square off this corner. So you have a nice sharp corner. Rotate it around. And then you're going to line up that square. You're going to find your 2.5 inch mark here. Let me use a pencil so you can find your 2.5 inch mark here, down to that diagonal line, and then across here, and you're just going to line all 3 of those markers up. That's why I love this ruler so much. Just going to line it up here, here, and here at the 2.5 inch point and trim it. And there you have your 2.5 inch half square triangle. So I'm going to do that with the rest of all of these. It'll take me a little bit, and then when I come back, I will show you how to put this placemat together. Okay, I have cut these all down to 2.5 inches square. So now we're going to start laying them out and get them ready to sew together some more. Well, if I can get them to the right way. So you're going to have two half square triangles with this multicolored fabric on this side, or whatever fabric you have, and then 2 of the half square triangles with the more solid, the purple. It's not really a solid, but you get the idea. And this is how you're going to piece them together. And you're going to make 6 total of these units, these squares, made up of 4 half square triangles. And you're going to sew them, you know, across this way. It's like a 4 patch, and then down, and then sew those rows together. It's very simple sewing. It just takes a little bit. Alrighty, here we go. It is sewn together and pressed nicely. I did the other ones too. I'm going to move that up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to do them this way because the camera, I'm going to zoom the camera out here in a minute. You're going to put 3 together in a row, and you want the same fabrics here on top, center, and then of course on the bottom. And I've actually already done one for you. Here you go. This is the way they turn out, and you're going to make 2 rows like this because those are going to be the size of that placemat. All right, here are my 2 strips, and now we are ready to put this together, and then I'm going to start quilting it. So basically, you're going to put 1 on one side and 1 on the other. Whoops. Like so. You're just going to add those on. These should measure 10.5 inches long by 4.5 inches. I meant to tell you each of these squares, when you piece each individually, they should be 4.5 inches. So I'm going to piece these 2 together, and then I'm going to show you how I quilt it. I quilt it very easily, but let me do this first. Alrighty, so there we go. It's all nice and pressed and finished. I love this panel. You can see, again, remember how I said that cutting panels is a little wonky? It is a little bit wonky, but it does not bother me at all. Nice points here. You are going to lose some of the points on the outside when we put the binding on, but that's what I'm going to do next. Is I'm going to show you how I base this and how I then quilt it. I am doing simple crosshatch quilting. Let me get one of the other ones. Just simple. I follow this outline just all the way across. Just very easy for me to do. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, this is my backing, and again, it's bigger than the 12 by 18. It's about 15 by 20. Lay that up with the wrong sides facing up, and then I'm going to use that Hobbs fusible. Love this stuff, and I'm going to take it over to my pressing surface and do that in a second. And then lay that on. So I have enough. I'm just going to do this on my domestic machine. I don't have a long arm or anything like that. Press them down, and then again I'm going to use, because it's fusible, I'm going to go press this down following their instructions. And then again I'm just going to use these guides, these lines as guides for me to quilt this. Okay, I did my quilting. I used purple thread because I wanted it to kind of blend in. I really want to show off those panels. That is the star of this placemat, I think, is that center panel. But now I'm going to trim it down to the 12 by 18, or excuse me, 12.5 by 18.5 at this point. Just going to use this long ruler. I kind of give myself a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to just square this up, cut off all that batting. The first cut's always the trickiest one. You want to make sure you get it right. All right, there's a little bit there, but that's fine because it's going to get covered by batting. And then now I use my cutting board to help me line things up. So I'm going to line up this nice even edge here. And just cut this off this way. And let's see, just so it's nice and even, Steven. There we go, a little extra. I always take my time. I know it takes me a little while on this. You can always skip ahead, but I like to take my time. I don't want to mess this up. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on the long side, and then I'm going to bind this. All right, here we go. We are at the last step. It always seems like it takes a long time, and when you make 6 of these, it takes a lot longer. I did the other 5 all at once, and that is a lot of half-square triangles, but it's worth it. So again, I'm going to do this from the back to the front because I want to do machine binding, and I am just going to pin or clip. I usually clip right around here. Again, this is 2.5 inch wide strip. I sewed 2 width of fabric strips together. And then I'm just going to clip this here, and I'm going to start sewing maybe like 4 inches down, maybe 5 inches. That's how I like to do it. Just start here, and I definitely backstitch there so that I have a nice firm hold on there, and then I'm going to work my way around. All right, here's the front, and I'm going to show you quickly how I do. Before I start sewing, I like to fold over my corners. So basically there's one corner, and I just pull that into the front. This is the front of the placemat, and I'm going to clip that so I have a nice corner. And it stays, so I'm sewing it doesn't mess. You can see there it has a nice mitered corner. I'll clip around the edges, and then I'll do another corner, and I'll do around the whole placemat. Let me just zoom out a little bit. I'll do the whole placemat before I start sewing. And then what I do is a very scant 1/8 of an inch along the edge, all the way around, and then your placemat's done. Alrighty, I am done. I love my placemat, love these illumination panels. I will have some pictures up of it in my dining room. I'm in my studio right now, but just, it's such an easy placemat. It does take a little bit of time, I know, especially with the half square triangles. I'm going to show you a couple pictures with different fabrics because not everybody maybe wants to use this. They might want to use something more pastel. The first one I'm going to show you has this great set as the center, this great vibrant multicolored rainbow look as the center, and then some more sort of, they're reading solids. They're not, they're like tonals. They're from Benartex's Fossil Fern collection. And then the second one I'm going to show you is from their Winsome collection, and that's a much softer look. And then the last one is from Winter Haven. That's another new line of theirs. And this one, that one, I kind of switched these up a little bit, these half square triangles, and you almost get like a pinwheel on the sides. So I hope you like those placemats. They are so much fun to make. Let me show you one more time. Great, that panel is beautiful. Thank you to Benartex for providing the fabric for this from that Illuminations line. I can't wait to put these on my table. These are great, I think, all year round, but especially in the fall. I think they have that really pretty sort of fallish tones, even though it's more, you know, it's bright colors. It's bright fall is what I should say. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button. I do all kinds of tutorials, tips, free patterns, that kind of thing on YouTube. And if you really liked it, I'd love a thumbs up on the video. I appreciate that too. That helps me out. Thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great day.